Hey YouTube, so it's Monday, so I spent most of the weekend working on the drive shaft, and I've been out to the salvage yard like 3 different times, keep getting drive shafts and keep getting the wrong ones. This last one I got is this one, and it's the exact same, everything's the same except for the splines where the 2 pieces meet. And then this one is about 1 foot longer because it came off of a long bed extended cab and not a regular cab. And I wasn't thinking about that, but that was all they had out there that had the same U-joints on each side. So that was what I got. It was $23. I can still take it back and either exchange it or return it, either way. And then I paid 25 bucks and I got both knuckles. Got both front rotors, both front wheel bearings, 1 caliper with the brake pads, the other caliper bracket, 1 lower and 1 upper control arm with Moog ball joints. I got all that for 25 bucks pretty much. I traded a digital camera I had for sale for 25 bucks for all those front end parts. So I got a couple extra wheel bearings, a couple extra rotors, another extra caliper, and then I went to Advance and I ordered a brand new carrier bearing for the drive shaft. So I've got to cut this old bearing off probably with the grinder and get that off. And then the new one will be here tomorrow. So then I just got to press the new one on. And then I ordered this 13-piece front end rebuild kit. So I got both upper control arms with ball joints, the sway bar links, the inner and outer tie rods, the pitman arm, the lower ball joints, and these are steering. Actually, I believe that's the pitman arm. Those are steering. Yeah, so I got this 13-piece kit delivered today. So I'm about to start ripping apart the front end and start swapping some stuff around. And then tomorrow I'll be able to get the carrier bearing installed, hopefully, and get the drive shaft back in. And then I'll just need an alignment and it should be good to go. And then a family member of mine, he has a Dodge Ram. I think it had 17s or 18s on it, but he got some aftermarket wheels and his is an 8-lug, it's a power wagon. And he told me I could have his factory wheels and tires, and he said the tires were still pretty good. So I'm going to see if the 8-lug Dodge power wagon will fit the Chevy. I'm not for sure, but it's worth a shot. It's 8-lug and all 4 of those wheels match and have matching tires with decent tread. And I mean, these are just bald. It definitely needs some new tires. And these aren't the greatest either. They got a little bit, but there's some dry rotting in there, and so definitely gonna get those other wheels and see if they'll fit. But for now, I'm gonna jack up this front end, get the front wheels off, and start swapping some shit around. So you guys stay tuned. I'll keep you updated as I go. Alright, y'all, so I've got it jacked up, got the wheel off, and I'm about to start getting this stuff free. So this is a 21mm, and this is looking like maybe a 19. Nope, it's probably also a 21. Didn't mean to hit the button. 21. Yeah, also a 21. I don't know how that's gonna work. I guess I'll figure something out. Hold on, give me just a second, guys. Alright guys, so I put the torque wrench on it at 120 pounds and it broke it free. So now I'm getting that off. This side's still not moving. I probably got to spray some Got some stuff in the bed, some industrial strength. It's called knocker loose. It's like WD-40 on crack. So I'm gonna grab that, spray these down, let it soak in for a few minutes, and then I'll come back to you guys. Alright y'all, so this is what I got. It's called Knocker Loose by CRC. Stuff works great. And it smells like citrus. There we go. Let that soak in for a few minutes. Go ahead and spray the ball joint. Probably gonna leave the lower on there. Oh look, that one's didn't even have a nut on it. That's crazy. There we go. Spray that too. I'm gonna let this soak in for a few minutes, guys. I'll come back to you guys. Alright you guys, so I've got the upper control arm on and tight. I've got the inner and outer tie rod and the sway bar. I have not got the lower ball joint yet. It does look pretty shitty, so I am going to do it, but I don't have a press right now. And so I've got the new one right there, and I am going to try to do that the pitman arm and the steering arm, and those three are right there. I still have to do the other side, all this, but for today I think this will be some good progress. I'm going to try to get the other side done, upper control arm, inner and outer tie rod, and sway bar, and that'll at least help the truck out a lot. And I know it's still going to need those arms swapped out, and I will get those swapped out eventually, but I still can't even drive it yet, so not till tomorrow after I get the carrier bearing and get the drive shaft back together, then I can drive it. But yeah, I've got all this back together. It's taken me a couple hours. I've just been fighting shit, and bolts wanting to just spin and having to pry it, and eventually finally got shit to work and got shit off. But now it's all back together. To get the inner tie rod off, I did have to use the inner tie rod tool. It is a 7/16. It's like the biggest one in the kit. This is the Harbor Freight kit. Yeah, it fit right on that old tie rod over there, and I was able to get it off with this. I did have to cut the boot off the inner to make it fit, but I was able to get it off. Had to use the torque wrench in reverse to break it free, and then use the impact to spin it off. And I had to take the outer tie rod off, and I just left the nut right there where it was. I just broke it free and spun the outer off so I could use the tool, and then I used this and set the new one right next to it and just kind of straightened this out and just made them as even as I could, and put the nut in the same spot, screwed the new one on, tightened it, snugged it up, screwed it on up there. I was able to use the pliers, the channel locks, just to screw that back on. Got it nice and snug, got it on here nice and tightened down with the impact, and it's good to go. So I'm about to get on the other side and do the same thing over there. Alright you guys, so I'm working on the driver's side now. I've already got the upper swapped out, and I'm about to get this tie rod boot cut off with my razor blade, and then I can get my tool up there on that inner. I gotta knock this outer piece of this boot off too, so I can get my tool around that. And I gotta break this nut free so I can unscrew this outer. And then once I get that outer unscrewed and get the new one on there, then I can put my sway bar link in which is over here. So I just want to give you guys a little update as I go. But yeah, this one's going along pretty smooth. So, but yeah, just look how busted that outer tie rod is. And its inner. It's just so loose, but it's actually got some play in it. I can hear it clunking around as I pull it back and forth. So I'm gonna get this one off, get these new ones on here, and I'll keep you guys updated. Alright, YouTube, so I've completed the driver's side. I've got the inner and outer tie rod on, nice and tightened down. Got the sway bar link on. Got the upper control arm and ball joint on. Like I said, I still got to do the lower ball joints on both sides. I mean, this one's not super horrible, but the other side is busted pretty good. And then I've still got to hit these with the grease gun on all the grease certs. Which I got the grease gun over at my storage, so I'll end up grabbing it and hit all these. So I still got to wait till tomorrow to get the carrier bearing before I can drive it, so not that big of a deal. But it's getting there. And I've still got to do the pitman arm and the steering arms, same linkages, so, and the lower ball joints, one for each side. So that's what I've got to do next. I'm not going to do all those today. I'm going to have these pressed in and have the old ones pressed out. So that'll be for another day. And then I'll probably do those another day also. But got a couple of piles of old parts. Pile off each side. And I'm about to throw this wheel back on here and get it tightened down and set it on the ground. Get the wheels tightened down with the four-way. And it's probably going to be it for tonight. And then tomorrow after work I'll go grab the carrier bearing. And then I'm going to have to use the grinder. I'm going to have to cut this whole bearing off right here. I'm just going to have to cut it down to this. Get this old bearing off. So once I get the new one, I can have the whole thing just pressed on. And it's a press fit. And then that way it'll be nice and all the rubber will be connected. And I'll just let that free spin. So that's going to be tomorrow. And then also maybe tomorrow I might do these front, the pitman arm and stuff. I have the pitman arm tool. I think it's over at my storage, but I do have it. Pitman arm puller tool, so I guess that's going to be it for tonight, you guys. I'll get back with you tomorrow after I get off work. Hey YouTube, alright, so it's Thursday. So I was able to go get the drive shaft today. I got a brand spanking new bearing on there. Got a new boot on there. Put a whole new end on here with the U-joint. And then another U-joint on the end. So we got 2 out of the 3. That's still, they said that one was still good. So they just left it alone. But this one was bad and this one was bad. And this one, it was just like the clip. One of the clips was messed up or something. And so they just went ahead and replaced it. They balanced it. Got a couple washers welded on here. And yeah, one right here. But for now it's good to go. So I have to get this thing thrown back in the truck and get this back together and then go test drive it. I do still need to adjust the inner tie rods, because you can see, like right now the wheel is perfectly straight and it's kind of curved off to this side, and then when I come over to this side it's kind of turned out. So both of them are kind of need to be adjusted and pulled in a little bit. But for eyeballing it, it's pretty damn good. So I still have to do the lower ball joints and everything. I found the guy's got 2 brand new lower control arms, and they're beefier than these, and they have brand new Moog ball joints in them, and they're just ready to install. and he wants $240 for both of them. They're both brand spanking new, all new bushings, everything's Moog on them. So I'm going to try to get those and just replace that whole lower control arm and ball joint. And then I still got to do the pitman arm and the steering arms. They're still sitting in the front seat. But I did get my pitman arm puller tool, pitman arm, and the steering link gears. And then I still have both the lower ball joints. Where's the other one? Looks like it fell down behind the seat. Okay. So I'm going to get this stuff done eventually. But for right now, I just want to get this drive shaft in and go drive it and see if that changes the that shaking, if that's what my issue was, because this whole joint right here was completely broke and would swivel back and forth. Like, it was broke in here, like one of these inside joints was just gone. So that one definitely needed replaced, and so they just replaced this whole arm and then the new carrier bearing. So I'm gonna get this thing thrown in here and go test drive the truck, so I'll keep you guys updated. Okay guys, so this is a two-piece drive shaft, because this is the joint under this boot. So the way you gotta take this out and put this in here, you've got to pull it through from the back rear end of the truck and get it up over this cross member in here, because in my truck it doesn't unbolt from anything on either side. It's riveted in, so this stays, and the carrier bearing bolts right here to the top of this and then goes to the front knuckle up there on the transmission. So you got to fish this through, feed the drive shaft up over this mount that the carrier bearing mounts to, and then get the U-joints up here into place on the transmission and get your caps on. Then you've got to get the carrier bearing set into place, but you can't bolt it down until you get the rear end. The drive shaft made it up to the rear end, because this is your flex piece. This is where it has that joint in the middle. So it's kind of a pain in the ass, but it's pretty easy, and it's just 4 11mm bolts here, 4 11mm bolts back there, and I believe these were 15mm bolts, but they could be 13. But I think they were 15s. And I mean, it's pretty easy as far as doing it. It's just kind of a pain in the ass because you have to finagle it in here. If you could just drop this cross member, it would be a lot easier, but you can't without cutting it out. So, but it's all good. I want to get this shoved in here. I just wanted to show you guys what a pain in the ass it is. Alright you guys, so I got the rear on. I got the front one on first, way up there, and then came and got the rear on, and then tightened up my 2 nuts right there on the new carrier bearing. So now everything's nice and greased up. I did have to put it into neutral, and I had to chalk the tires, which I already had them chalked from whenever I took the drive shaft out. And yeah, that's really necessary. So either jack it up and get it off the ground, or chalk the tires. But like, yeah, this ain't even, it's just sitting on the ground. I just can get under here and pull this out and pull it out and put it back in. And it's just sitting here. No jacks required. But alright, so now the drive shaft is in, so I'm gonna go test drive this thing and see if it still shakes real bad. So I'll keep you guys updated. Alright you guys, so I've got the drive shaft in. The drive's pretty good. We got the steering wheel straight. It's locked in straight right now. And I've got this wheel's pretty damn straight. It might be turned in just a tiny little bit, but not too bad. And then this one, I got it pretty straight. It was turned out like way bad. It was like almost like this one was straight and that one was turned out to the right. But I've got it adjusted to where it's pretty good. I'm going to air up the tires and then see how they look after that. But I don't know, I'll keep you guys updated and let you know how it goes. Alright, you guys. So the truck, it drives really good. The steering wheel does kind of go a little crooked when I'm driving, but it does drive pretty straight. So the wheels are pretty aligned. It's still really loose whenever I'm driving. So I'm pretty sure that's something in the pitman arm and those steering arms and stuff. So I'm gonna get the rest of that stuff all swapped around here soon, probably in the next couple days. So tomorrow's Friday, so I might get it done. Well, tomorrow after work, I have a Sienna minivan. I gotta go do inner and outer tie rods and some sway bars and ball joints and pretty much all the same stuff I'm doing to the truck, but I'm doing it for a friend of mine. And then I'm also gonna have to do lower intake manifold gaskets on their Buick. So it's got the 3800, just like the Grand Prix. I'm gonna get that done pretty quick, so no worries there. But yeah, so maybe sometime this weekend I'll get this stuff done. I know I want to get over to my storage and I want to pull the engine and transmission out of the red Grand Prix so I can get the heads and stuff off that engine and start getting the stuff ready for the Grand Am, and so I can get those heads bolted onto the Grand Am engine, because it's ready for the heads right now. It's just waiting for the top end, and I'm kind of anxious to get it on there because I want to see how well the new pistons and piston rings are and how good the compression is, because before that engine had like compression in 2 cylinders, and now I see why it had dried piston rings. So I just want to see how well it turns out with me just DIY at home, well, at my storage, but with just some cheap Harbor Freight tools and a cheap drill, and honed the cylinders, did the piston rings and everything myself, just off watching YouTube videos, and didn't even gap them. They were pre-gapped for standard bores, so I just kind of put them on, angled all the edges like the YouTube video told me, and slapped it together. And I was going to swap out the rod bearings, but the set that I bought off of eBay was the wrong fucking bearings. They were way smaller. They didn't even fit in the rod cap or anything. So I just cleaned up the bearings that were in there, made sure I put the rod back in facing the same way it came out, and made sure I put the rod cap on the same way, because I don't want to have no issues. And I don't know, it feels nice so far. So next thing's getting the heads on and torqued down, and then getting the push rods and the rockers in there, and it's all just factory supercharged cam and everything, so L32. So it's going to be, I think, a pretty sick build for the Grand Am, but it's mainly just going to be stock 3800, except for the pulley size. I'm going to have that 3.6, or yeah, I think it's a 3.6, either a 3.5 or a 3.6. I think it's a 3.6 is what I had on the Black Grand Prix. So I'm going to throw that pulley on the Grand Am engine at first. And then if I decide I want to go a little smaller, I'll have the 3.4, because I'm about to take the 3.4 off of the red car, because I'm putting the 2.9 on to run that full stack intercooler. So that's going to be a sick build. But yeah, I'm trying to get that engine out this weekend so I can start getting all that stuff done and swapped around. And yeah, so you guys stay tuned. I'll keep you updated. Hey guys, it's Friday. I'm off work. So I came home and I started messing with the '06 Grand Prix. It's hard to tell, but right down there's a nice big crack. And it goes all the way down this front side. I don't know if you can really see it. Yeah, you can see it now. Yep, there it is. Nice big old crack. So, yeah, radiator's junk. Needs a new radiator. So I'm gonna wait and see what the insurance says about all this shit and go from there. So the '06 is parked until I hear back from the insurance. But the truck is running and driving. It still needs the rest of the front end stuff done. And that steering linkage and shit. But it'll get there. It runs and drives, so I'll keep you guys updated. Hey YouTube, so it's Saturday today. And my mom's having some issues with her car. Her check engine light's been on. It's been acting sluggish. Ran the check engine light. It's got a evap code and an exhaust gas recirculation stuck closed. So I'm going to change the EGR valve. And it also had a crankshaft position sensor code. So I'm going to change the crankshaft position sensor. Went and got a new one. It was like 43 bucks. And I already had the EGR valve off my old Red Grand Am. So I'm going to get to work on this thing. I'm going to pull it in the driveway and let it cool off a little bit and get to work. So keep you guys updated. Alright you guys, so I've got the car jacked up and on jack stands. Got the wheel off. I'm gonna have to lower the engine a little bit to get this to where it'll clear these AC hoses. So I've already taken the mount off, just two 18 millimeters and two 15 millimeters, and got a jack supporting it. Went ahead and took the belt off. I'm just gonna leave that on there. And I have another pump, so I'm gonna swap out the pump. It's like 2 or 3 13 millimeter bolts. You just spin the pulley around until you can get to the bolt. So that's pretty easy. I can get that off, get the lines off, and then lower the jack down some so that pulley will clear, and then I can break that bolt free and we'll go from there. So I'll keep you updated as I go. Alright you guys, so I've got the pulley off and the old sensor off. Once I got the pulley off, say all the bolts in the kit were these 3 longer bolts right here, and just the tip with the point on it, and it swivels. That point fit right here in the end. Didn't have to put nothing in there. And then all the bolts and the middle bolt was all 15 millimeter, and pulled it right off, no problem. This was an 18 millimeter, and my impact just pulled it right off, no problem. So the front main seal still looks pretty good. So I'm going to spray it off with some brake cleaner and just kind of clean it up a little bit. And then the plug just goes right up onto the front, right there, and then it runs on this bracket, which is a 10. The bolt's on right there. And then the 2 bolts for the crank sensor were 8 millimeters. And everything just came right off. Pretty plain and simple, so I moved on inside and grabbed this new one. and get it put on here. As I got the sensor swapped out and sprayed it down with some brake clean, so I'm about to get this pulley back on here. You just line up the notch in your pulley with the crank key on the crank and put the bolt in and run it down. And there we go. You guys, so I've got the EGR off. This is the old one, and this is the new one. Newer. This one that was on my red Grand Dam before I decided to 3800 swap it. But it's real easy to change. It's just 3 10mm bolts right here in your gasket. So I'm gonna reuse that gasket. Yeah, it's really easy to change, so I'm getting that swapped out. I've already got the crank sensor done, got it plugged in right there. There it is, nice and pretty. Got the belt back on, got the mount back on, got the cruise control back on. So now I just gotta get this EGR on, then I can do the new lower control arms. So I gotta pull this wheel off. Yeah, then I can do these lower control arms. Because ball joints, not the greatest. And these bushings in here like to crack. I've already changed these once with some cheap eBay ones, and so we got a better pair this time. And I did this whole rack and pinion with new boots and in and out of tie rods, and this one's busted and already leaking. I haven't got the wheel off on the other side yet, but I'll get there. And then I wasn't able to change the power steering pump because the other one I have doesn't even have a plug on it right there. And then the line goes up from underneath at an angle like this, and the line has to loop around, and I don't have a line for it, and I can't use that line, so it's just gonna have to do with this pump for now. I did change the cap, it's still full, so I mean it can't be leaking that bad, but it's definitely spraying some crap. But it's still running good, so hopefully with this crank sensor and everything, it runs a hell of a lot better than it has been. And with this EGR, we'll just see how it goes. So I'll keep you guys updated. I'm gonna get this EGR put back on here. Alright guys, so now I've got the EGR tightened back down. So now I just have to take and plug this back in. Take and plug this back in. And then this plug right here goes to that. And then all these right here go to this. And there we go. Now everything's back together. I can drop this down. It's on its mount. Now it's all fully supported under its own mount. Again, I'm going to start it. See, that pump's making a whining. It's definitely whining. We're gonna pull this over some. There we go. I don't want that getting close to the bell. It's got ABS, brake, and traction off. No check engine light. It has new AC Delta spark plugs and whatever the AutoZone brand wires are. These are the plugs and wires that were on my red Grand Am. As is the AC compressor and the starter and everything else that came off that engine. I've swapped onto this engine. Seems to be running pretty good though. Kind of hesitated. Running pretty good though. So now I just gotta do the lower control arms and the struts. These are just blowing the fuck out. They're pretty easy to change though. The lower control arms are easy to change. Just 18 there, 21 under there, right underneath that jack stand. And then you gotta take off your sway bar link. That one's already busted. And then the bump roll.
Brought to you by Jumex.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so that's all that's left is getting the lower control arms, and I gotta put this dust cover back on it. No noise, running good. So we'll finish this up and I'll keep you guys updated. Alright you guys, so I got the strut swapped out off of the parts car. They had new struts on the front. The rears were old, so I'm just going to swap the two on the front. I got one side done already. Looks like it's about to start raining. Get some lightning. This side is looking good. Rotor still looks good. Pads still have lots of life left on them. So I just got to get the other strut done on that side, and I think she'll be good to go. So I'll keep you guys updated. Hey YouTube. So it is Sunday, and I went out to my sisters and brother-in-laws, and my brother-in-law got some new wheels and tires for his truck. He's got a Dodge Ram Power Wagon, and he gave me his factories. The tires aren't bad, but that one keeps going flat, so they gave me the spare with a brand new fucking tire on it. Never even been on the ground. And I broke this one. I didn't realize it needed a spacer, so I was tying it down and it cracked to pop this outer piece off right here.
Holy Christ, it split the ram all the way around.
Yeah, because this sticks out farther than the front. So the front went on no problem. In the rear it cracked that. So
actually broke the rim.
Yeah, it broke it. So I'm gonna go to the salvage, see if I can find another one at the salvage, and then just get some spacers for the rear.
Yeah, break the other side the same.
And But I like them, and it gives the truck a whole different look, man. Yeah, it gives the truck a whole different look. I like it. And then the little plastic things that go over the lug nuts to keep the original center caps on, they still go on. I got to do these too. But got some new wheels and tires for the truck today, so that's good. Now I got to go out to Broken Arrow and do some wheel bearings. I just wanted to show off my new wheels and tires. So I'm gonna get some spacers for the rear. Got to get that tire swapped around on that other wheel, and I'll get it on. But it drives a lot better, rides a lot better, so I'm happy with it. But I'll keep you guys updated. Guys, so it's Monday, so I went and had the other wheel and tire swapped around. Had the brand new tire put on the good wheel, and I just did the same thing, put it on until it broke the end off. So that's how it's gonna roll. Got them all nice and tight. But all 4 of them are on. I like the look of it, so alright. Still needs some more work, but so I still have the old stocks. The 2 front ones are at the house. There's the wheel that the new tire was on, and the old tire. I had to take it with me. I'm gonna have to throw that away somewhere, but for 25 bucks to swap the wheel and tire, it was made a huge difference in the look of the truck, so I'm happy with it. That's probably going to be it on this video for now. I still got to do some more work on my mom's car. Still got to do the rest of the front end work on the truck. It'll get there. Still got to do the exhaust work, the O2 sensor, tune up, plugs and wires. So there's still more to come, so stay tuned and leave me a like and a comment and subscribe if you like the videos. So guys, have a good day.